Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is going to be a review for Fargo Season 1, Episode 10, the season finale, Morton's Fork. And I was really looking forward to this finale because the past few episodes of Fargo, sorry, that was an epic fail. The last few episodes of Fargo have been really, really awesome, and I was, really looking forward to this finale, really hoping it would pay off, and it was, it was a 90-minute finale, and, the series premiere of the show was 90 minutes, and overall, how do I feel about this finale? Very satisfied with this finale. I thought this was a very good finale, by far best episode of the season. Really great acting in this episode, just wow, really great acting, and I really hope this show does get renewed for season 2, but if it doesn't, I am fine with that, because it's a mini-series, it had a great story, and I really don't know what other story they could do with the show. That's what I'm saying. I don't really know what other story they could do with it, and I think it works best as one series. But let's just get to this episode. So basically, if you remember, at the end of the last episode, Lester, had just seen Lorne murder his wife, Linda, and basically he quickly realizes that if he doesn't act correctly, people, mainly Molly and also the FBI agents, Budge and Pepper, they're going to suspect Linda's murder was his fault, which it kind of is. He knew she was going to get murdered, so it kind of is his fault, but it's kind of not as well. So he gives himself so he decides to make it look like he does not know that she's dead. He goes into Lou's diner, orders food for him and Linda, saying that Linda will shortly be on her way. He then anonymously phones in shots fired, and then the police find Linda's body, so he doesn't make it look like he did anything. So Molly then keenly observes that Linda was wearing Lester's coat, and that maybe that means Lester was supposed to be the dead one. Molly gets alert of this. She's with Gus, and she's like, ooh, this is not good. She gets alert about this, and she tries to figure out what's going on. So she says how Lester was supposed to be the dead one, that Lester didn't kill his wife. And as usual, she's correct, because, Molly's a fucking genius. Like, seriously. I've never said how much of a genius Molly is, but she really is a genius. She gets everything right. She never has gotten anything wrong. Everything she's ever said on the show, everything she's ever said to someone or about something, it's always been right. She's never gotten anything wrong. It's really awesome how Molly's never gotten anything wrong. I commend her for that. So Lester, they then decide that they have to take away Lester. They take him away. He gives a very convincing performance of astonishment and remorse, but they take him to the police station for questioning anyway. And Budge and Pepper, meanwhile, bring up the name Lorne. And, Lester asks for a lawyer, and Lester refuses to talk since they obviously made up their minds. But Molly insists that Lorne, and they basically realize that, Lorne was the one that did this, and they realize that he will not stop. So, eventually, they let him go, so Lester's escorted by FBI agents back to his home. And I'll get to the confrontation. And before that, though, they did have this really big confrontation between Lester and Molly. Very well done. Lester's kind of telling her, why do you think of me? You don't think of me as a person I truly am. You don't think of me as a monster. And the thing is, Lester really is a guy who used to be this really nice, caring guy, but ultimately went crazy. And it's partially Lorne's fault, because if he had met up with Lorne, he wouldn't have killed his wife, and none of the other shit that happened to him would have happened. So, that's a really big thing. So, for Lester, that was really big. So at the police station, Lou tells Molly about Lorne. Though he doesn't know a name, he pretty much figures that it's Lorne. And after failing to convince her not to go further involved, Lou decides to go sit on Molly and Gus's front porch with a shotgun to protect Greta. That was just like, wow. So Gus sees him sitting there in the morning and leaves. Greta then finds Lou on the porch, and after talking to him about standing guard, she gets a gun of her own and sits there with him. So, Molly's talking to Gus about this, and Gus is telling her, stay in the office. Stay in the office because something really bad could happen to you. He's very concerned about her safety. He really shows how much he loves Molly. He's really concerned about her safety, and he tells her, I don't care if, you want to attack him. You have to stay there. You have to make sure you stay put, because everything's going to be fine if you just stay put. So that's what he tells her, basically that, and he basically says this one line that's really big that really hits her and makes her say, I gotta listen to him. She says, bottom line, I can't make Greta go to another funeral, which is really sad because, when the show started out, Greta and Gus were just them, but now they have Molly, so it's really made everything better for them, so, it's really good there. So with Molly safe, Gus decides to go after Lorne himself, seemingly proving his desire for Molly to stay away was more for her safety than Greta's mental well-being. So Gus finds Lorne's cabin and he waits. Now, Bill reveals to Molly that he is stepping down as police chief and will recommend that Molly take over as chief because Bill just really is not cut in for the job. He realizes that he's not into this whole, he's not really cut out for the job. He wants to step down because he thinks Molly is better for the job, and he calls her the real deal. And he tells her to think about it, and basically, Molly just has to think about it. So, that's a big thing. So then, basically, since Lorne knows that he's being targeted, he knows that the FBI is coming after him, Lorne decides to cancel the FBI backup that was coming, as he doesn't want them there for obvious reasons. Then he goes to dealership and goes for a test drive in a car. But at the same time, Budge and Pepper are in the car with Lester, and they're asking Lester about the fox, the rabbit, and the cabbage, which, is very important. And, Lester kind of talks about what he would do with the fox, the rabbit, and the cabbage. Of course, the fox, the rabbit, and the cabbage presents Lorne, Lester, and Linda. That's what it really represents. So, that's the 3 L's, Lorne, Lester, Linda. So, that's a pretty big thing. So, I thought that was interesting that they talked about that. So basically, Lorne then goes into a dealership, goes for a test drive in a car that looks like an unmarked FBI car. The car slowly rolls up to Lester's house, but Lorne is not there. The dealer is there, and Lorne ambushes the 2 agents from behind and kills them. And ultimately, here's what I'll say about him killing Budge and Pepper. Budge and Pepper were comic relief. You knew they were gonna die. You knew they were just there for comic relief. Yes, I love Key and Peele. I think they gave a really good performance on the show. It was good to actually see them do some acting on the show rather than just in Key and Peele. I thought that was cool. But you know what? They ultimately had to die. They were just comic relief, as I said, and they had to die. I'm fine that they died because they had to. They had to die. So after this, Lorne then goes into the house to find Lester, proving himself to be unexpected as usual. Lester has set a trap up for Lorne. Lorne steps in the trap, and it gets Lorne right in the leg. His leg is, bleeding. Oh my god, that was, the most graphic thing ever. And before Lester, non-fatality, shoots him, Lorne then escapes the house, and Lester defeats Lorne. So that was awesome. You had, a 12-second gunfight. And honestly, you know why I think this gunfight was all on? Because this show is not an action-packed show. It's more of just a verbally action-packed show. This is not Justified, and I think it's interesting that they've talked about it. I saw a lot of articles where people compare this show to Justified. Sorry, my mom's texting me. Okay, sorry. Alright, so, the show's a lot like Justified but in many ways it's not. Justified, is a very action-packed show. This show, while it is action-packed at some points, it's more of a, talking dialogue type of show. It's more of an acting sort of show. Justified's like that too, but Justified has a lot more action than this does, so, it's not Justified. So then what happens is Lorne goes into a car. He escapes back to his cabin to clean his wound, and I think it was actually pretty interesting because, the first time that something big like that happened, Lester was the one that got that pellet wound. You remember in his arm, and you remember he squeezed it, he picked at it. Very similar to Lorne in this scene, and I thought that was cool the way they kind of had a reverse of that this time. And basically, he's checking his wound, and Gus is there waiting for him. And Gus says, "I figured it out, your riddle." And when Lorne asks for an answer, Gus shoots Lorne, and he looks like he's dead, and then he wakes up and just what the fuck? How is this guy undefeated? Seriously, it's like he's undefeated. And I was, very surprised about that. I was just can you defeat this guy? Is it possible to? It didn't seem like it was possible to defeat him for a while. But then at the last second, luckily, Gus shot a couple more bullets into him, and Lorne died. And overall, I thought Lorne gave a great performance. I was surprised he died before Lester. I thought Lester was going to kill him, but okay. So I thought it was actually good that Gus killed him because it was unexpected. Plus, Gus was the one that was trying to catch him. Remember, Gus was the one that was replacing Vern, and Lorne killed Vern. So it really makes sense because Lorne killed Vern in the first episode, and then Gus kills him as revenge for killing Vern. So that's kind of what I thought that was. So somewhere in between Lorne's face-off with Lester and Gus, Molly went to Lester's house. It's not shown, but she had to find the site of 3 murders before getting the call that Gus had taken down Lorne. He finds and presents Molly with the evidence, and Lester's call to Lorne after murdering his first wife that will finally take down Lester. So after shooting but not killing Lorne, Lester escaped. And then we have another time jump, and I'm just like, another time jump? Seriously? I understood why we need the time jump, but like, seriously, another time jump? Lester was cornered in Glacier National Park in Montana, and after a high-speed snowmobile chase, Lester ventures on. I knew Lester was going to die here. He's being chased by all of these snowmobile people. You knew he had to die eventually. He can't just live on this show, because now it's a mini-series. You knew he was not going to live, and ultimately, he didn't live. So, of course, I was expecting him not to live, and he didn't live. But he does end up defeated by the snowmobile. He doesn't get defeated by a snowmobile. He falls into too shallow ice. He falls right through, and the world actually defeated Lester, which is big. The world defeated Lester. No one defeated Lester. The world defeated him. He thought he was this invincible guy who nothing bad could happen to him. And the world basically defeated him. And I think that's interesting that it was the world that defeated Lester, not himself or anything. I thought that was interesting. Ultimately, though, you knew Lester had to die. So that was a really good scene overall. But they kind of spoiled it, because in the beginning we saw like someone falling through the ice, but it was him. So then we see that it would seem as if Molly was given an unfair shake in this episode. After all of her expert detective work, she didn't play a direct hand in the capture of either of the 2 criminals. She's been trying to get, basically, but at the end of this episode, everything's happy now. You see Gus, Molly, and Greta, and I really like the way they end this episode, because finally now they can be happy. They can be a happy family, and that's ultimately what we want them to be. We want them to be a happy family, and that's what they are at the end of this episode. They're a happy family. Sorry, guys. I changed my angle because I need to charge my iPad, so that's why this looks horrible now, but sorry. But basically, they can now be a happy family, and that's really great. And, I actually really love the ending of this episode, because you see I love the way they end the show. You see the 3 of them sitting there, they're very happy, and Gus was given the citation for bravery, which he thinks should go to Molly, because, she was the one that started all of this, but she recognized it was supposed to go to him, and she says, I still get to be chief. And that was a good way to end the episode. They're all happy and everything. You can see that they're going to make it, and I just thought that was a great way to end it. I really love the ending of this. I thought it was a fantastic ending, and I love the ending of this show. I thought it was fantastic. So overall, I loved this finale. I thought it was a perfect finale. Overall, what are my thoughts on Fargo? Fargo was a very good show. It's probably my 3rd favorite show on FX right now. I thought it was a fantastic show. It's actually, I think, a little bit better than Justified, believe it or not. I love Justified, but I think this show is better than Justified. It's definitely going to be on my top 10 best TV shows of 2014. I will definitely be putting it there because it was a very good show. A lot of really good acting in the show. Martin Freeman better get nominated for an award, because he was really awesome on the show, as was Billy Bob Thornton, as was Allison Tolman, as was Colin Hanks. Everyone on this show was awesome. Everyone was awesome, and I really hope they get nominated, because they all did a really, really great job on this show. There were, 2 episodes that were just kind of but the rest of the episodes were amazing. Most of this show was amazing. Even the 2 episodes that were okay, that were just okay, they were still really amazing, and I love the show overall. I really got into the show after that time jump, especially, because the show had the balls to do a time jump, and I never thought they would do something like that, but I thought that was really awesome, actually, that they did that, and I really love that about this episode. I thought that show, I thought it was awesome, the risk they took. Now, let's talk about the future of the show. Will this show get a season 2? I don't know, and personally, since it's a mini-series, I really don't think this show should get a season 2. I just think that because I don't know if the show could go on longer than 1 season. You have a very good plot, very good characters, but I don't understand why you should continue it. I mean, I understand sort of why, but in my opinion, I don't think the show should go on after this season. I think it should stand alone as a miniseries. That's perfectly fine, because that's all it should be. It should just be a miniseries, because it worked very well as a miniseries. Why make a season 2 and make a completely different story? I don't want it to be like American Horror Story, where they do that, because American Horror Story does that very well, but American Horror Story is like taking different time periods and different places. Fargo can only stay in one place. Fargo. Now, I did hear them say that Fargo is actually like a metaphor. Fargo is, you know, the violence that we get in our life. And you know, of course, I'm sure we all are wondering, why does this show always say this is based on a true story? Because it's realistic. Because of them saying that, the show got to be realistic. You know, the show doesn't end with them all happy. It's not a completely happy ending. It's just, they're happy now. They're happy now, and that's what matters, is that they're happy now. They're not happy forever. They're not going to be happy for the rest of their lives. It's that they're happy now, and that's what matters. And I really like that about the ending of the show. I thought that was definitely very well done. As far as Lorne's demise, I thought that was awesomely done. Lester's demise was awesomely done. Just everything in this episode was really awesomely done. You know, my only complaint about this episode, what happened to Stavros? We have not seen Stavros since episode 6 of this show. Ever since episode 6, we have not seen Stavros. We don't know what happened to him. I want to know what happened to Stavros. What happened to Lester's brother Chaz? That's still unanswered. What happened to what was the other guy's name? The guy that Lorne put in that closet. I don't remember his name, but you guys know what I'm talking about. What happened to him? Seriously, there are a bunch of people that we don't know what happened to them. So I guess it's pretty much just that's how you know, sometimes you see people when it was focused on those 4 characters, and when those 4 characters were not meeting up with those 4 characters, then they didn't have a purpose on the show anymore. You know, I understood that, but overall, you know, I really enjoyed this show. I thought it was a very, very fun show, too. I like that the show had comedy, and it didn't try to be a dark, very, very dark series. However, as the show went on, it did get darker. It was a fun show, too, because, you know, you had characters like Budge and Pepper, who made the show very funny. And, you know, that was really great about the show, and I'm always gonna love that about Fargo. I think that's fantastic. And, you know, from the first episode, I love the show, and I just thought it was a fantastic show. So yeah, overall, really great show, great dialogue, really love the show, and I just thought it was really awesome, and I wanted to get renewed for season 2, but at the same time, I don't. I don't, because I feel like it'll ruin the show if they do. But that's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought of the finale. Did you like the way they ended things? Was there anything that they could have ended differently? Did you think were you upset at the things that they left kind of unanswered? I didn't have a problem with it overall. But that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for another classic movie review. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.